oh my god, 2 months ago. 2 months ago, I dropped a video called Bleach's plot armor. In that video, I wanted to like refute the points that people make when people say that Bleach has bad writing or has a lot of plot armor, right? I didn't expect it to pop off, but I got loads of comments, right? And to be honest, I was responding to a lot of these comments, and after a while, I just got bored. I was like, you know what, let me just make it into a whole video. Free content. All right, the first comment, at this point, I believe people will shit on Bleach just to shit on Bleach. Bleach is near perfection. Hey bro, he's spitting facts. He's spitting facts, bro. Bleach absolutely gets the least amount of praise out of all of the big three anime. And even compared to some anime now, I'm gonna be real. You can't really look at Bleach in the same way you do a Naruto, One Piece, a Dragon Ball. You can view Bleach on a surface value, but like you won't really enjoy it in the same way that you would if you read Naruto, Bleach, One Piece on a surface level. I think that's a really big thing, especially because Bleach is a shonen manga, so that's really the demographic. If you're not really understanding the themes, you're not really gonna get Bleach. I'm gonna be real. But Bleach sometimes just gets hate for no reason. I swear, bro. I'm not gonna say it's near perfection, but I think it stands on its own as a very good manga. I get why people think this, but Renji didn't use the device to learn Bankai. The device only forcibly manifests the Zanpakuto spirit in the physical world, which Renji could already do on his own, so he was halfway to learning Bankai already. There you go. The step to learning Bankai is a two-step process. Materializing your Zanpakuto and then putting it in submission. Renji already learned the first part. The second part, they were on a timer to save Rukia. Both Ichigo and Renji, so they didn't get their full complete Bankai. Ichigo and Renji didn't use the exact same method because Ichigo still had to use that like doll to materialize it, and Renji could already do it by himself. But they are very similar methods. So when I say Renji learned it quicker, he did learn it quicker. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not just Kenpachi. Every soul in general gets stronger, increase in Reiryoku when they face close death situations. I'm pretty sure it's mentioned in the manga somewhere. The thing with Kenpachi is that he was nerfing himself since his first fight with Unohana, and he was regaining his old power whenever he fought stronger opponents, especially his rematch with Unohana. Yo, I explained that so terribly in the original vid. The thing with Kenpachi and Unohana's fight, right, and the reason they give to us as to why Kenpachi lost against Ichigo, right? Kenpachi, when he was a kid and fought against Unohana, he was using all of his strength. After that point, he suppressed his strength by a lot. Whenever he fights against someone stronger than him, he just gets that part of his old strength back to match it. That's what I was trying to say. So when he was fighting Unohana was trying to get all of his old strength out. That was the whole point of that fight. Ichigo does have plot armor, but that's every MC. And even if he has a bit more than usual, which is debatable, it doesn't really hinder the story in my opinion. Ichigo alone didn't defeat Aizen or Rolex or Ulquiorra. He is a novice who doesn't know how to efficiently use his powers, and he won't care to learn unless needed because his focus is more on living a normal life with his friends and family. That's a good trade-off if you consider that Ichigo is too OP, which he is not for all practical purposes. Theoretically, yes. He's right. Ichigo is like a level 1000 account used by a younger brother. Also, the Ichigo is a bad MC because he's overpowered is stupid, because that's literally a story arc. Thank you. I don't think people understand that Ichigo having all these genes is actively hindering him. Like, I'm pretty sure if Ichigo was only a Soul Reaper and nothing else, and could get to that same level of strength, he would get there much quicker. Ichigo's whole story arc is about acceptance of his powers. That's really it. Plot armor and shit aside, almost every anime ever has plot armor and poorly written sections of the story. We are just doing the Spider-Man meme. I guess, true. I think the better argument should be to what degree does it affect the story, and my problem is most people can't acknowledge their own favorite show's flaws. Throwing rocks in the glass house, so to speak. I am fine with hearing criticism about Bleach. I have my own, and it's in my top 10 favorite anime of all time. The only time I get pissed is when people say silly things like Ichigo doesn't have a goal and doesn't change at all. At that point, I just kind of ignore what they say because they either haven't read the story or paid attention because it's pretty blatant. No, he doesn't want some big lofty goal, but to me that makes him much more relatable than most anime protagonists. No, he doesn't want to be sulking or whatever. He is a lot more fleshed out than what people give him credit for. No, Bleach is not some magnum opus of anime, but it doesn't have to be, and most anime isn't, so I don't know why we're trying to put it on that high of a pedestal. Hey nigga, he cooked. The Mystic one, he cooked. Like, I do have a few problems with Bleach, which I'll get into a bit later. I do have some problems with Bleach in terms of like power scaling and sometimes character writing, but I do think it's right though. I think to view Bleach on a surface level saying Ichigo doesn't have a goal is stupid because he very clearly has one. If you look beyond the surface, he doesn't have to tell you I think the better argument should be to what degree does it affect the story, and most people can't ignore their own favorite choice flaws. That is a very, very good question. In my opinion, I think if you can't view some of your favorite media in a negative way, or like view some of the bad things about it, whether you like it or not, there's always something wrong. No piece of media is perfect. Bleach isn't some magnum opus of anime and doesn't have to be. I think the only reason why people put Bleach on such a high pedestal is because it's in the big three. I think that is such a big reason why. Like the fact that it's in the big three and it always gets compared to Naruto and One Piece being such a grand anime and Naruto being one of the biggest anime just in general. I think for someone that only views media at like a surface level, it would be very hard to understand why you would put Bleach, Naruto, One Piece in the same category. I mean, we see all the time people saying, does Bleach deserve to be in the big three? Is Bleach is in the big three? Put Hunter x Hunter in the big three, put Dragon Ball in the big three, put all the... And the fact that Bleach is in there, but they don't view it in the same way as Hunter x Hunter, or they just like Hunter x Hunter more, or they like Dragon Ball more, or something. I think that just gives them a grander idea of what Bleach is meant to be. That's just my guess, but I don't know. Not relevant, but to anyone saying Ichigo's Vasta Lorde was wrong, no translation said that. Also, Ichigo in full hollow form was not able to talk or think logically. I replied, to be fair, you're probably right. Vasta Lorde just sounds way cooler though. Because I think he's stronger than Okura in that form, and the top 4 are all Vasta Lorde, I think that's why we just categorize Ichigo in that form. Plus his form kind of looks somewhat similar to Okura. I don't know, I don't want to be that guy, bro, but yeah, he wasn't able to act logically, only on instinct, which is his Hollow's trait. I don't think many people clock that. For a lot of his fights, he always uses logic. He never uses his battle instincts. A lot of the fights, starting with Dordoni, going to Grimjo, and now going to Okiura, is meant to like boost his fighting instincts. So now getting to the peak of his instincts is that full hollow transformation, which only acts on instincts. He is able to talk. He does say protect, I will protect her in chapter 352 when he's fighting Okiura. I don't know if this might be a translation error, because we now know that White doesn't really care about Origami, he only cares about protecting Ichigo, so this might be a translation error. Instead of saying her, he might have said you or something, or just a different pronoun. We know that translation errors happen a lot, so I don't know if that is. If it is, let me know. But he definitely said that out of instincts and not out of like logical thinking, because Okura asked him a question twice and he didn't respond. Hey, technically Ginjo has Quincy energy because Ginjo took Ichigo's spiritual pressure, so he has Quincy power, as well as he has Ichigo's Reiatsu and he has Quincy energy as well. Here is the thing, here is my first problem with Bleach. And it's not a problem, it's more of like, I don't get him. Ginjo is... You really want to talk about plot? I'm going to talk about Ginjo. Ginjo is a fucking weird genetic freak, bro. Like, what I don't understand. He's completely just a Fullbringer. Like, he relies on his Fullbringer powers. That's his main power. You can spend hours defending the fuck out of this, right? Or until Kubo gives me some sort of response, how the fuck can he Bankai? How can he do that? If he used his Fullbring to Bankai, then can Ichigo use his to Bankai? Because his is also technically just Zangetsu. Is Ginjo's special Fullbring ability to use Bankai took Ichigo's Fullbring? He didn't even take his powers, he took his Fullbring. He can't even take... Someone please explain to me, how can Ginjo Bankai? I got like 4 comments saying Okiura is the strongest Espada or whatever. Alright, this is a post edit because I didn't really explain my points well, right? While I was recording the video, I was still on the fence about Okura, but now that I thought about it for a bit, I have my reasons to assume why Aizen would know about it and why he wouldn't be the strongest Espada. My reasons for why it's safe to assume that Aizen would know about Okura's second resurrection. First thing, Aizen has been studying and experimenting with Shinigami and Hollows years before Ichigo was even born. Now, this doesn't prove anything about the Espada because he probably didn't have the Hogyoku by that point, or he wasn't experimenting with Rankos at that point. We don't know. But my point is that Aizen is a genius. He is still incredibly smart. For him to just mindlessly make Rankos and not monitor anything would be stupid. The Rankor can get stronger. Aizen 100% knows this, first off, and he probably even witnessed it firsthand because Neutra went from being Espada number 8 to Espada number 5. It would be very weird to assume that Aizen doesn't know the Rankor can get stronger because visually, Neutra's Zanpakuto changes from having 1 crescent moon to 2. And the fact that the numbers are tattooed somewhere on their bodies, it'd be weird for Aizen to not notice. I think a comment I've gotten was that Okura probably kept this form secret or that he was planning to rebel against Aizen, But in my opinion, Ulquiorra would have no reason not to tell Aizen, assuming that he doesn't know. The only Espada to ever actually be hostile towards Aizen ever are Grimjo at the meeting when he tried to defy him, and then Aizen put his dick on him with his Reiatsu, and then Barragan in Fate Karakura. But even then, with Barragan, that was a last-ditch effort as he was about to die. Seeing the type of character that Ulquiorra is, he is the most likely to see how futile it would be to fight Aizen. From Ulquiorra's words, he also says Aizen hadn't seen the form yet, but you can probably infer that he planned to show Aizen eventually. Ulquiorra also says there are 3 others and Aizen above him, knowing full well that he has a second resurrection. If Ulquiorra was lying about that, that would defeat a lot of the point of his character. If he has to lie to give Ichigo despair and to crush his hope, then that would mean that he acknowledges that Ichigo's fight against him has meaning to it and is not as futile as he says it is. It would mean that Ichigo having hope has purpose. Ulquiorra is seeing this, working so hard to only beat a number 6 and a number 4 when there are numbers 3, 2, 1 and someone above the number 1, it would be very understandable that Ulquiorra sees it as pointless. If you still want to argue that Ulquiorra is stronger than number 4, fair. But to be honest, at most, he would probably be as strong or stronger than Haribel, at most. I don't believe that Ulquiorra having this second resurrection automatically puts him at number 1, above Haribel, above Barragan, and above Stark. As it regards to Ulquiorra, it does not matter what he said about his rank or how there are 3 Espada stronger than me because of the context of the statement. When he said this, it is clear he was trying to make Ichigo feel extreme despair. Even a blind man can see that Haribel is nowhere as strong as Ulquiorra. Base Ulquiorra is stronger than Masked Bankai Ichigo. Just remember this and think about what the top 3 Espada have done in comparison to that. Spoiler alert, it's not that impressive. I replied, do not rank the Espada based off feats, because the top 3 haven't really done much aside from get soloed by the captains. Multiple captains at that, at once. This is the thing when you start comparing Masked Bankai Ichigo. What is scary about Ichigo is that he grows and learns very fucking fast. Masked Bankai Ichigo was getting stronger through the entirety of the Hueco saga. When he faced off against Ulquiorra for the very first time, he barely laid a scratch on him and got pieced up by Ulquiorra. The second time after fighting Grimjo, he was able to match up with him pre-resurrection. Bankai Ichigo when he was fighting Ulquiorra is not as strong there as when he went to Fate Karakura. And I got a response from Giga Nigga 445. There is no way you said Haribel is stronger than Ulquiorra. That's absolutely delusional. It's either that you're the biggest Haribel meat rider or that you read the manga with your eyes closed. I mean, that 4 in his chest says something, bro. As a Bleach fan and without being biased, unlike him, Bleach is poorly written, heavy plot armor and doesn't make sense, but Bleach is the most drip shonen anime. Alright, and someone responded to that saying, okay, give me 3 plot holes in Bleach you didn't understand and I'll explain them to you. And then the original guy responded, but he didn't reply back. I don't think he really cared. I think he had better shit to do. I said a ton of plot armor which Ichigo has, but here's your plot holes list. Yachiru having a Shikai despite apparently being a Zanpakuto herself. I mean, she's a manifestation of a Zanpakuto spirit. And if Kenpachi manifested her as a Shinigami, then shit, I don't see why she shouldn't have one. And even Old Man Zangetsu, when he was brought into the real world, he brought a bunch of swords with him. So I don't think it's crazy that Yachiru has a Zanpakuto. Kensei and Rose being alive despite them supposedly being actually killed before being turned into zombies. I mean, they were supposedly killed. We didn't know if they were actually dead. Remember, anything that happens on screen doesn't count. Rule of media. Ukitake's whole point was to stall Rolex. I didn't get to that point, so I don't know about that. Unohana's whole point was to make Kenpachi strong, but he was mid. Hitsugai at solos. I think this might be a troll still, but I'll respond to it anyway. Kid Kenpachi was able to beat adult Unohana, and he's been suppressed ever since. To say he was mid when he beats Gremmy is fucking crazy. Even Central 46, or whatever the fuck they're called, was scared to teach Kenpachi actual sword skills because they knew he was just that broken. Standing in the air or flying, Reishi on the feet. Orihime's existence except being there to be with Ichigo. In terms of Orihime's character, I think you do see bits of it in like early Bleach about her brother, and then afterwards like only a very small bit in the Fullbring arc about her parents. If you want to say Orihime revolves too much around Ichigo, I can agree with you, but her whole existence, except being there to breathe, that's crazy. Once she saw that like Ichigo died, I think she kind of realized that she had to tee up, and all her moments in Fullbringer arc shows how she kind of improved from that point. First off, her conversation with Ruruka that no matter what Ichigo's injury is, she's gonna fix it. She never had that kind of determination before. When she reflected Ginjo's attack and then said to stay back until I fix him, we never seen that from Orihime before. She kind of bossed up a little bit, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, that development is in your face. That, and she actually managed to land a clean hit on Tsukishima. Aizen no Bankai. We'll get to that in a bit. Waste of Gin and Shinji's character. Not really. Shinji is the one that even decided to help Ichigo train his hollow powers. That's the first thing. That, and you see Shinji's character in that Turn Back the Pendulum arc. So I don't know what you're trying to tell me. Waste of Gin's character. I don't think Gin is a waste of a character, but I think he's way too unresolved. I didn't really like Gin as a character because it feels like they cut out a lot of his backstory and cut out a lot of his resolution. So I can't really feel for him. I need one of those Gin explained videos on YouTube, and then they're gonna tell me Gin's entire story or the deeper meaning behind it. But right now, I think his character is left way too unresolved. Now back to Aizen no Bankai, and I think a lot of these points are kind of the point of this. When you look at Bleach on a surface level, you'll really think it's shit. I'm gonna be so serious, you'll think it's shit. You have to see beyond just surface level stuff. And I'm not being like a dickhead or pretentious about it too, because Kubo puts poems in the manga. Like, who the fuck does that? And I'm not saying that's like a crazy thing, but it's like, you can obviously tell that Bleach isn't a surface level story. Like, that's very, very obvious. They're gonna think that like a lot of characters should have used common sense or logic when they don't think on that. A lot of characters think on instinct. A lot of characters think on arrogance. A lot of characters think of pride, honor, etc. It's a lot. Big example I can give you is when I said in the original video about the Grimjo fight, saying that Ichigo just got a power buff because Orihime said something. That's not what happened. The thing with Aizen, if you don't get his character, you won't understand why he behaves the way he does. Aizen's whole character, I think we like to view Aizen as this ultimate mastermind. He knows everything he does. Like, okay, cool, he knows a lot, right? And he can guess how a lot of things will play out, right? And he manipulates a lot of things. But at the same time, quite a few of Aizen's plans have been fucked over. Aizen is not like Mayuri, and he's not like Kisuke. Someone like Kisuke will plan for everything. He'll have like a bag of tricks that he'll use for any occasion. Someone like Mayuri will make sure that his plans never go wrong. The thing about Aizen is, first off, is his arrogance fucks him over a lot, and the second thing is that he's very curious. Even if his plan diverts, he'll be like, fuck it, we ball, and then he'll make his plan divert in some way back to his original plan. Even in the backstory with Masaki and Ishin, when the Hollow, right, White, went after Masaki instead of going after Ishin, Tosin even says, "Now this is a failure. This isn't what meant to happen. Just cut it now. I'll get rid of her." And then Aizen was like, "You know what? Nah, let it slide. Let's see where this goes." Had it been someone like Mayuri or Kisuke, they would have probably cut it right there. But Aizen isn't that type of guy. Second thing is his arrogance fucks him over. Like, the moment he's fused with the Hogyoku, he was convinced he was unstoppable. I'm being so serious. Like, look at the way he behaves once he gets the Hogyoku, right? Like, you can see that like Aizen was so powerful by that point, he didn't even need to use Kyoka Suigetsu. That's how strong he is. Like, I think once he turns into Cocoon Aizen, he just never uses it. Aizen never wanted to kill Ichigo. He only wanted to get him to be stronger to match his level. That's really what he wanted throughout the whole of the arc. And if you don't believe me, there's a reason why he doesn't use Kyoka Suigetsu on Ichigo. There's a reason why he kills the cleaner. He has no reason to do that. Ultimately, Aizen's arrogance is what fucked him over. Because realistically, he could have really just stopped Ichigo right there if he just used Kyoka Suigetsu. But he just didn't. And to be fair, even if I was Aizen, I would be just as arrogant. He's fused to a literal plot device that makes him immortal and makes him transcend the races of his world. What the fuck? Bro, I'd be just as arrogant. The way Aizen sees it, he's transcended Shinigami and Hollow levels. So to rely on Shinigami stuff would be pointless. I think this is the final comment, and this is a big one. This is the whole reason I decided to make this video, because I saw this, I was like, you know what, let me just make a video instead. I love Bleach, but it's literally the mother of plot armor, slightly over-exaggerating, very over-exaggerating. Let me refute some of your arguments. Every argument you made to show it wasn't plot armor is literally the plot armor. Kenpachi lost to Ichigo. He just nerfed himself, whereas Kenpachi never lost any other fight until Rolex, and then we get the explanation that he'd be nerfing himself, and this was only done to give him a reason for a power-up. It's the same way they made it all of a sudden that Unohana was the first Kenpachi whereas they never showed us her or Zaraki ever interacting. That's a plot armor. In my opinion, Unohana dying just to give him a power-up was stupid. They could have made her fight some of the powerful Quincy's that killed her. That way she died doing what she loved and not being a waste. Unohana dying for Kenpachi. I want you to understand that Kenpachi is much stronger than Unohana. Unohana at this point could be relegated to just healing. I'm going to be very serious when I say that. Again, this is like this whole Kenpachi's mid-argument or Unohana didn't need to die. I think it's more of a thing that like there can only be one Kenpachi at a time. And for her to live while Kenpachi is that powerful would be pointless. Ichigo's fake sword is literally plot armor. Remember, he lost all his powers after the final Getsuga, an attack we thought he might have inherited from his dad because their Zanpakuto and attacks were similar. Why then was it that when he got his powers back, it was still the same persona as his previous Zanpakuto, i.e. the Rolex inside of him, that was also restored? So they and you are trying to tell us that the Rolex inside Ichigo was the fake Zanpakuto that had the same techniques his dad has and could also give him the final Getsuga Tensho. That's literally plot armor. The creator said what we can use to justify Ichigo getting a power up, so they thought that this was best. The whole Ichigo being part Quincy was literally added so it has a direct relationship with the antagonist. We go from Ichigo thinking both parents were humans to his dad is a Shinigami to his mom is a Quincy. Why, and also why is Ichigo the only one who has Quincy personality inside of him, deceiving him that he's Ichigo Zanpakuto when other pure Quincy don't have anything of that sort? Alright, first off, when Ichigo gets his powers back, he doesn't get a new Zanpakuto, he gets the powers back that he lost. That's the entire point of Fullbring Arc. You can argue anything else in Fullbring Arc because Fullbring Arc has some bullshit, but the main point was to get the powers back that he lost. You want to say that like, why is Rolex still there? I mean, the Rolex in Ichigo can't go away. Like, Rolex's blood runs in all Quincy's, including Ichigo. So we go from Ichigo thinking both parents were humans to his dad being Shinigami to his mom quit. You can make new things from stuff you haven't explored. They never tell you anything about Ichigo's mom aside from that she died protecting him. And then thinking that his dad is Shinigami, I mean, sure, but like they even say way back when, like when Ichigo first interacts with Zangetsu, I don't know how far ago this is. The Shinigami powers that he gets is because he took Rukia's power, but he didn't realize he had his own Shinigami power inside him. So that was already meant to question where he got that from. And Ichigo's mom being a Quincy, they don't tell you shit about Ichigo's mom until 1000 Year Blood War. So I think it's completely fair to give her a backstory. Also, why is Ichigo the only one that has a Quincy inside of him deceiving him that is Ichigo's Zanpakuto while other Quincy's don't have anything of that sort? Because the other Quincy's are pure Quincy's. They don't have Zanpakuto spirits. Whether they have Quincy spirits, I don't fucking know. But as far as I'm concerned, they don't have Quincy spirits either. So they don't need that. Ichigo is a Quincy with Shinigami powers. Being a Quincy is part of his personality, and your Zanpakuto is an extension of yourself, kind of. So for him to have Rolex in his Zanpakuto spirit would be completely fair. If this was the case, can we safely assume Urahara's Bankai was also fake? No, nigga, it's been 100 years. Also, Renji didn't get his Bankai the same way. He had already partially gotten it before training in that place. It was just another plum to give Renji a power up. I've already said something about Renji before, so. The same can be said about Byakuya's Bankai. I don't know anything about Byakuya's Bankai, if he has a new one, if it's the same as before but just stronger. He was in the Soul Palace for a decent bit, so God knows what he could have gotten. If he had been using the Shikai he thought was the Bankai, what the fuck? All these while, how was it able to be stolen? I'm gonna have to go back and check, but I think that was a misinterpretation. I think first off, it wasn't Byakuya that said that, it was S-Not that said that. He confused Byakuya's Shikai for his Bankai, and he said, nah, this is only Shikai. Also, you're trying to tell me that if it is true, he was using a fake sword all along, how will you explain someone that isn't fully Shinigami having such a powerful sword? My dude, his new Zanpakuto is more powerful than Ichibe, Yamamoto, Kenpachi, Kyoraku, and every other Shinigami. How is that not plot armor? Just because Ichigo's genes kind of fuck him up in the long run doesn't mean he doesn't have those genes. He is a mix between human, Fullbringer, Shinigami, Hollow, and Quincy. That Quincy plays a huge part, bro. That Quincy energy is something crazy. How can someone whose parents are Shinigami and Quincy, powerful ones at that, not able to see Hollows at first? Like saying Ichigo and Orihime's kid in the Hell's can't see Shinigami and Hollows. Aizen. Fam, maybe you don't understand what plot armor means, no offense. That Ichigo is every race is literally plot armor, that's a definition. The new race that is added to his list of races is only brought up when the current antagonist is of that race. It's like a what? Where the fuck is this going? Where is this going? It's like a white politician saying that his mother is black when he's never mentioned it before, and there are no records of his mother being black, and that he takes his father's white skin only for him to, what the fuck, yo? Only for him to campaign on it when he's addressing a black crowd, or vice versa. Ichigo being every race is something that was worked into the story of the current arc. I mean, you could say Ichigo being, okay, first off, what the hell was that final take? Just, the new race is only brought up when the current antagonist is of that race. The current antagonist of Soul Society at that point was really Byakuya, and he got hollowed. And Byakuya was just a pure Shinigami. Ichigo was human Shinigami and hollow before that, before the whole Arrancar thing. So after Ichigo lost all his powers, he became a Fullbringer. Like, why the hell would Ichigo just randomly get his powers back? Like, the whole point of being a Fullbringer was to get his powers back, right? The only time that's really true is for Fullbringer arc and 1000 Year Blood War. But the thing is, even in the Fullbringer arc, why the hell would you not make Ichigo a Fullbringer when everyone else is a Fullbringer and Ichigo doesn't have his powers? But now, Ichigo being every race's plot armor, I already said this before, but Ichigo being every race, right, is about as special as Naruto being a Jinchuriki or Luffy having a mythical Zoan or whatever. Like, it is very impressive, very rare, but it is not like impossible or the most crazy thing. The only thing that makes Ichigo different from a lot of others is that he is a Quincy. If you remove that Quincy thing, he would not be as crazy as you expect him to be. That's really it. Because look, if you go through the story, right, up until the end of the Arrancar saga, Ichigo was a Shinigami Hollow fusion. We've had people that are like that, like the Vizards, Aizen, Tosin. And then if you go through the Fullbringer arc, Ichigo loses all his powers. He's just a human now, and a human Fullbringer. And we've had several other Fullbringers. Even when Ichigo gets his powers back, right, you can still say he's human, Shinigami, Hollow, and Fullbringer. Ginjo is the exact same up until that point that we know of. And Ginjo is even weirder because he's still a human. He can perform Bankai and all that type of shit. And he took Ichigo's Fullbring ability. Ichigo now became a Fullbringer that can't use a Fullbring. And he now just relies on the Shinigami and Hollow powers. If anything, you could say Ginjo is technically, genetically more advantaged at that point. Like, you really want to talk about genes or whatever, but talk about someone like Ginjo and Aizen. Aizen is a real problem. Sosuke Aizen cannot die. They gave that nigga 10,000 years in jail because he cannot die. Even it took a joint effort of Ichigo and Kisuke. I think overall, just in general, I'm not gonna tell you Bleach has no plot armor at all, but in my opinion, I do think a lot of people drag Bleach way too much. But yeah, that was it. I think that's most of the comments that I wanted to reply to, or that I have replied to. I tied up every loose thread in the previous video. I responded to most of the comments that are probably still confused or have misconceptions. Follow the socials, mainly the Twitch. If I disappear again, just keep refreshing the page until I'm live. I'll see you in the next one.